Okay, I'm predicting the New York Giants record prediction. So looking at their rosters, the Giants doesn't. Their offense is absolute shit. They don't really have any good skill position players. They lost Saquon. Their best wide receiver is Slayton, and their offensive line does not look that good either. I don't think Daniel Jones will do that bad. I think he's going to be more like his year two Daniel Jones, more like a below average, mediocre quarterback compared to that awfulness that we saw last year. The Giants defense, their front seven looks really good with Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Okereke, but that Giants secondary lost Xavier McKinney does not look that good. They still have Deontay Banks, but that Giants secondary does not look good. And even though I think that Daniel Jones is going to do better this year, I think he's going to start all the games. I don't that Giants defense. I don't think will be as good. But you have your first game versus the Minnesota Vikings. This one I think could be an interesting game. It's going to be Sam Darnold's first start in a while, and I think that Giants front seven will get them the win. I don't trust that Giants defense that much, so I'm going to take the that Vikings defense that much. So I'm going to take the Giants here. I think their defense will get them the win. And week two versus the Commanders, these two teams are always going to split. I think the Commanders takes the first game because of their home field advantage, and like I said, I think that Daniel Jones will just air the ball out against that Giants secondary. So I'm going to take the Commanders here. Then you have them versus the Browns. I think that Browns defense, especially at home, will absolutely stonewall that Giants defense. And I think that Browns offense will do enough, so I'm going to take the Browns here. Then you have week four versus the Cowboys. Cowboys almost always dominate the Giants, even Giants with big home field advantage on a Thursday nighter. I think that the Cowboys passing game is too much for that Giants defense to handle, and that pass rush of that Cowboys is too much for that Giants offense to handle, so I'm going to take the Cowboys here. Then you have them versus the Seahawks. Seahawks, I don't really trust their defense too much, but I trust them enough to slow down that Giants offense. And that Seahawks offense can be explosive enough, especially with huge home field advantage. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Then you have them versus the Bengals. Um, Bengals are a Super Bowl contender. That Bengals defense, even though not as good, should be good enough. And that Bengals offense, I think will be too much as long as Burrow doesn't hold on to the ball for too long. So I'm going to take the Bengals here. And you have them versus the Eagles. Earlier in the season, the Eagles, I think they improved. They brought in some new secondary help. The Eagles defense should be better than they were last year. And I think Danny Dimes, he'll struggle more or less versus that Eagles defense. And I don't think that Giants offense can get going. And that Eagles offense should still be as good as last year, which they weren't that bad. So I'm going to take the Eagles here. Then you have them versus the um, Steelers on Monday night game. This just isn't a game that the Steelers lose. The Steelers defense is very good, so I'm going to take the Steelers here. Week 9 versus the Commanders, like I said earlier, I think they're going to split the games here. Commanders to me just aren't good enough to sweep the Giants, especially that front seven. Jane Daniels may hold on to the ball for too long, so I'm taking the Giants here. Then you have week 10 versus the Panthers. I still don't really trust the Panthers that much. They should improve with Canales, with some new pieces on offense, but I think Bryce Young is going to struggle versus that Giants front seven, so I'm going to take the Giants here. You have Denver versus the Bucks. Both of them are coming off a bye. I don't trust the Bears. I don't trust the Bucks defense at all. I think Daniel Jones will probably have one of his better games versus the Bucks. However, I think that Bucks passing game will be too much for the Giants. So it's going to be a tighter game than I think people will realize. But I'm going to take the Bucks here. Even with the Giants home field advantage. And then week 13 versus Cowboys, like I said earlier, the Cowboys do well versus the Giants. Thursday nighter, Cowboys a big home field advantage. The Cowboys should get this game pretty easily. And you have them versus the Saints. The Saints defense, I think, was very good, still very good. I think that Saints defense will get them the win. I think they can shut down that Giants offense, and I think that Saints offense will do just enough to get them the win here. So I'm taking the Saints here. Then you have Week 15 versus the Ravens. Ravens are Super Bowl contenders. They're coming off a bye. Lamar Jackson will stress out that Giants defense, and that Ravens defense is still very good. This one should be a slam dunk for that Ravens. So I'm going to take the Ravens here. Then you have them versus the Falcons. This one I think could be a trap game. I think the Giants have potential to upset upset the Falcons. Kirk Cousins really doesn't do well versus that pressure that the Giants will provide. However, I think the Falcons are a lot more well-rounded. Bijan should have a good day. That Falcons defense wasn't great last year, but it's not horrible. So I'm going to take the Falcons, especially with home field advantage. Then week 17 versus the Colts. This one is, I think, is a very interesting game. Colts, I do not trust their defense. I don't think their defense is that good. I think that Giants offense can be serviceable, maybe. And I think Anthony Richardson will struggle versus that Giants defense, so I'm going to take the Giants here, upsetting the Colts. In week 18 versus the Eagles, for some reason, the Eagles just don't play the Giants, did not play the Giants well last year. I think they're going to split the series. I'm going to take the Giants in the finale. So in the end, the Giants going 5-12, 2-4 in the division, 3-6 at home, and 2-6 away.